Hey everyone. Just wanted to talk to you guys for a minute about how to measure everything and how to keep track of it. I kind of had a head start on most of you. I started in April of this year on my diet and exercise plan. And so I've been tracking my nutrition and exercise since April. And how I started originally is I had a Casio G-Shock watch that counted my steps, and I had a notepad that I kept all my daily food. I would then look it up and find the calorie count. I used some online calculators to kind of figure out what my basal metabolic rate was, what my calorie burn would need to be every day to maintain my weight, and what it would need to be in a deficit to lose, say, a pound and a half a week. And these are all simple things that you can find online, and obviously we all have notepads, right? But I like data. I like lots of data. I work in safety as a manager, and I'm always crunching numbers and looking at data. And so eventually, the Casio G-Shock wasn't quite doing it for me. So I bought a smartwatch. Maybe you have an Apple Watch or whatever. But at the end of the day, your goal is going to be to eat less and move more, right? We have to get into a calorie deficit, and you need to know what your deficit is. So, what I do is first thing in the morning, I get up and I weigh myself. Before I get in the shower or anything else, I strip down, I weigh myself. And I used to write that on a little post-it note in the bathroom, but now I log it into an app. I use the Lose It weight loss app, and it talks to my Garmin smartwatch, so it works out good for me. So I weigh myself, and I also note exactly how many hours I've slept, which if you have an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, I'm only really familiar with Garmin. It'll tell you how many hours you slept, what kind of sleep you got, how good a sleep you got, right? And then if you're using your notepad, when you have your cup of coffee, write it down there, cup of coffee. And then I usually make a little line for water. And I have a 24-ounce container. So I need to drink 3 of those or 4 of those a day. But every time I drink one, I mark down 24 ounces, 24 ounces, 24 ounces, right? So I can keep track of it that way. And like I said, I used to keep track in a notebook of what I ate all day long, and then I would come home and I would jump online and I would look all that stuff up. But eventually I decided that was pretty cumbersome. So I moved to an app. I've used MyFitnessPal and I've used the Lose It app. And the beauty of that is that you can start pre-planning your day. And what I mean by that is in the morning when I'm packing my lunch, I'll put down what I'm having for breakfast, what I'm going to have for lunch, and hopefully I have some kind of idea what I'm going to have for dinner. Because when you're using just the notepad method, that's great because you are catching everything, but you're using the fart around and find out method, right? If you just go through your day eating stuff, the human eye is terrible for measuring, right? We can't tell how far away things are, and we certainly don't know what a serving size is and how many calories are in it. So I would go through my day and I'd write everything down, and I'd get home and I'm like, oh, you have like 4 calories left for dinner, which is why I then moved to an app. And a lot of these have like free versions. You can use them on your phone, you can use them on your computer. So now what I do is I put everything in the morning, and sometimes things change throughout the day, right? You get really stressed out and you just have to have something, or your friend calls you and says, hey, let's go have a cup of coffee and lunch. But you can kind of adapt that because you can look at your total picture every day. So in the morning, I write down on my daily sheet from Ashley my sleep, my weight, and then I'm a little different because I've been doing this for a while. I exercise 5 days a week. I have 2 days off. So I know whether I'm going to exercise in a given day or not. And so I can write that in there as well if I want. And then as the day goes on and I've tracked my nutrition, I've tracked my water and all that, I can then, at the end of the day before I go to bed, I can look at my app, or you can look at your notepad and do your math of how many calories you've had. And you can write that in the calorie section. And you know you've exercised, and you know how much water you've drank, right? And you know whether you did your daily goal, so you can fill that out. The nice thing about the way I do it is I have a total calorie goal for a week, right? And so Sunday through Thursday, I eat less calories so that on Friday and Saturday, I can go out to eat. But I do track all of it. And the goal, again, is to stay into that calorie deficit. And the great thing about tracking with an app of some sort is maybe you have 3 or 4 really good days where you only had like 1,250 calories, right? You're like, whoo, rock star, I'm going. And then you have this terrible crash one day. You get really stressed out. Maybe they fire your only employee and now you have to do all the work, and that's super stressful. So you got to have a Snickers bar, right? The good news is if you've stayed in that deficit, you'll know, and maybe that Snickers bar won't throw you over the handlebars. But really what it comes down to is you got to be consistent. You got to do this every day. You got to make sure and create the best database you can. And the nice thing about having a watch versus like using your phone to count steps or whatever, or Strava when you're out walking, is if it has a pulse meter, it's going to know how hard you worked out. It's going to give you a better idea of how many calories you've burned, which is going to give you a better picture of what you can then eat, right? At the end of the day, because it is eat less, move more, and the only thing that really counts is that you stay in a calorie deficit, all you got to do is eat less calories than you burn, right? So the other day I had a bad day and I had a train wreck and I got home and I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go walk for an hour. And I did that. I knew how many calories I burned, and I knew that I was back in the right place. So if you're doing this with a pad and paper, that's a great start. It's better than nothing. And if you decide to go down the road of using an app of some sort, feel free to reach out to me. I can help you set it up. I can give you some tips and tricks on how I've navigated it, how I've set mine up, so that I can be successful. I wish you all the best, and I hope you find this helpful. Thanks for your time, and you guys have a great evening.